Good morning. Today we are learning to evaluate the language features of a persuasive text. For this lesson, you will need the following things: a copy of the Adelie Penguin text, that's the one you used yesterday, something to write with, something to write on, and your thinking brains. There is a verb sheet and table which can be downloaded, but they are optional. You can do the lesson without them. Let's have a look at our success criteria. I can identify language features of a persuasive text. I can outline their purpose. I can explain how the features persuade the reader. We're going to start the lesson with a warming up the word activity. Look at the picture of an Adelie penguin jumping from one block of ice to another. Write some positive phrases to describe what you see. Pause the video and write down some ideas before you continue. Okay, let's have a look at some that I thought of. Brilliant jumpers, leaping gracefully, a confident leaper, achieved a tremendous height, a superb gymnast. These are all examples of emotive language. As a writer, I want my readers to see Adelie penguins as strong and able little creatures, so I have chosen positive vocabulary. What I'd like you to do is look for words and phrases that tell you as a reader what the writer wants you to think about Adelie penguins. You will have found some emotive language examples yesterday. So it's now time to stop the video again and read through the information. The writer wants the reader to know that Adelie penguins are self-sufficient, which means they can look after themselves. They can find food and protect themselves from other animals that might attack them. I know this because the author has used phrases like, penguins may seem cute to us, but they're excellent predators and very efficient foragers. Adelies have feisty attitudes too. But penguins are brilliant swimmers. They are hardy, tough, and rugged. These phrases have also been chosen by the writer to show that they are strong characters. Now we're going to look at some of the verbs used in the text, and we're going to start with imperative verbs. Imperative verbs tell someone to do something. The imperative verbs that I've used in my examples are written in red. Wash your hands regularly. Write your name on the top of your work. Draw a line under the correct answer. I want you to pause the video, look through the Adelie penguin information and find the one imperative verb. Adopt Adelie penguins from an Antarctic colony. I hope that you found it. Here, the imperative verb adopt has been used right at the end of the piece of writing. The writing has already told you lots and lots of facts about Adelie penguins, and now it's telling you that you can do something to help protect them. Our next lot of verbs are called modal verbs. Modal verbs usually work with another verb. They show us how likely something is to happen. Here are a few examples: will, would, should, could, may, can, shall, must, might. In my examples below, the modal verb is written in red and the other verb is written in green. So modal verbs might show you that you have to do something. You should do your homework. They might show you the possibility of something happening. I might have pizza for tea. They might show you you are able to do something. You can go out to play now. Or they might give you permission to do something. You may have a chocolate biscuit. It's time to pause the video and read through the text and see if you can find all the modal verbs. They might look a bit clumsy on land, but penguins are brilliant swimmers. They can dive down to 180 meters. Penguins may seem cute to us. I hope you spotted all of these. All of the modal verbs you have looked at are positive, but they can be negative too. Here are a few examples. So cannot, I cannot get the lid off the jam jar. Or wouldn't, she wouldn't let anyone help her. Or must not, you must not eat chocolate biscuits just before dinner. In persuasive texts, the modal verbs usually show us the possibility of something happening with words like may or might, or they show us the ability to do something, can, or they tell you what to do. You should do this, or you will do this. Our next set of features are cohesive devices. This sounds very difficult, but it really isn't. A cohesive device is a word or phrase that links clauses, sentences, and ideas together so that your writing flows and is easy to read and understand. Now, I have some good news and some not so good news. So let's start with the not so good news. There are lots and lots of different cohesive devices. But the good news is you already know quite a few and you've been using them in your writing since September and maybe even before that. The other bit of good news is we are only going to look at a few of them. If you remember, I've already said that cohesive devices link clauses together in a sentence. We know these as conjunctions. Conjunctions are a type of cohesive device. So words like and, so, but. These words will link clauses together in a sentence. A clause is a group of words with a subject and a verb. In my examples below, I have put the subject in orange, the verb in yellow, and the conjunction or the cohesive device in red. So penguins are good at sliding across the ice and they are good swimmers. Penguins can be found in Antarctica, but their numbers are decreasing. Cohesive devices are also used to link ideas together. Some of them you will still recognize as conjunctions like however and although. But here are a few more that might be used in persuasive writing. Most of these words will appear at the beginning of the sentence. As well as, moreover, furthermore, and in addition. Similarly, likewise, as with, like. But, however, although, unless. For example, such as, for instance, in the case of, as shown by, illustrated by, and one example is. There are lots and lots more. Penguins live in large colonies. However, due to melting ice caps, these colonies are getting smaller. Penguins are excellent predators, although they also are often prey for larger sea mammals like killer whales. Are just two examples of how these can be used. Notice the cohesive device used at the beginning of a sentence is followed by a comma. Writers also use adverbial phrases as a cohesive device. Adverbials are used to explain how, where, or when something happened. They are like adverbs made up of more than one word. So an example of how is, by donating to the charity, you can help us save the Adderley penguin. An example for where, In some areas of Antarctica, there are still large penguin colonies. Examples of when: as the ice caps are melting, there is less land for the penguins to breed. Or if the ice caps continue to melt, Adelie penguins will become an endangered species. Now you're going to go back through your text and see if you can find any examples of cohesive devices. So pause the video again so you can carry out your next task. Here's some of the examples that I found. The Adelie is the littlest and also the most widespread species of penguin in the Antarctic. They might look a bit clumsy on land, but penguins are brilliant swimmers. Penguins may seem cute to us, but they're excellent predators. Adelie penguins are increasing in Antarctica. However, in areas where climate change is established, Adelie populations have fallen by more than 65% in 25 years. By protecting Adelie penguins, we're helping look after their ocean environment, which is good for all the wildlife that depends on it. The Adelie lives on or close to sea ice all its life, but only breeds on ice-free land. You may have found a few more. These are just a few examples. So today we've looked at emotive language, imperative verbs, modal verbs, and conjunctions and adverbial phrases used as cohesive devices. Try and finish these sentences. Emotive language has been used to. The imperative verb has been used to. The modal verbs tell us. And cohesive devices have been used to. Pause the video to finish these sentences. So what you could have written is, emotive language has been used to make the reader think that penguins are strong characters. Think back to those strong descriptive words that they used. The imperative verb has been used to try and persuade us to do something to look after the penguins. The modal verbs tell us what penguins can do and what might happen if the ice continues to melt. Cohesive devices have been used to link clauses about the same thing together and to link similar ideas together. Well done, everybody. It's a super effort. We're nearly finished. There's just one more task for you to do. Your task is to have a look at the words and phrases on the next slide. Decide whether they are imperative verbs, modal verbs, or cohesive devices. Write them under the correct headings on the table you've been given. You've also been given a list of the words. Don't worry if you can't print off the table. You can just write them under the correct headings on a piece of paper. Add some of your own examples. You could go back to the WWF website and see if you can find any on there. You might also, if you want to really challenge yourself, you might try and use some of the words in sentences. So your words are, however, should, on the other hand, could, additionally, would, stop, can, might, make, must not. Cannot, wash, use, must, even though, by, refuse, despite this, although, take, give. Pause the video to complete the task. Well done, everybody. Good job. You have now finished for today, but just remember, you should upload your tables to your portfolios so that your teachers can see what you have achieved. You may even earn yourselves some dojo points.